Hello. This is episode 1 of the Nitty Mel podcast in Geelong, Victoria, Australia, and I'm just going to give this a go. I've done a few videos on the Stephen West Twists and Turns MCal, and now I'm just going to get on with what I knit on the daily and hopefully upload a video every couple of weeks to show you what I'm knitting on. I'm not very good at editing yet. However, hopefully by the time you're watching this, I'll figure out how to put timestamps along the bottom of my video. Can you see any there? Or could I not quite make it yet? Hopefully there are. So if you're not interested in a project, you can skip ahead. I think we'll just get started because that's the best way to go. I was watching Taylor on, is it Woolen Needles podcast? I can't remember. But her advice was, if you're going to make videos, just go for it. So I'm just going for it. To start with, I will go with what I'm wearing. I am wearing the Golden Fern. I think I was wearing this in another episode for the MCal, but I didn't mention it. And a couple people asked. So she's going to have her time now. This is it. Wow, it blocked out so pretty. It seemed like it was going to be a really small shawl until I blocked it, and it was magic. So the yarns I used are, the pink is Bendigo Woolen Mills. Looks beautiful. And the other one was Zephyr, which was a Skinny Singles Hedgehog Fibres. Yeah, Hedgehog Fibres Skinny Singles in Zephyr, but I don't have any left of that. I used it in a pair of Scrappy socks for a friend, and I didn't take a photo. Pre-podcasting. This was finished just before, like maybe 3 days before the MCal started. I just finished it and blocked it. And it went to the Geelong show. Here in Victoria, we have the Geelong show and the Melbourne show. And I guess there's a Bendigo show. Sorry about that. I had a delivery at the door. And I have my 6-year-old home with me today. And he needed a snack. So, life. But if I didn't get this done today, it's going to be another week or two until I could do it. So, seize the day, right? So, what was I saying about my Golden Fern? It's by Woolen Pine. I told you the yarn. I entered it into the Geelong show here. We have the Melbourne show, Geelong show. There might be a few others in Victoria, but they're the ones that we go to. And I won Best Exhibit. It was really lovely. It was so lovely to meet as we were dropping off our items. It was really nice to meet some knitters, and all sorts of crafts were being entered. My sister entered some pottery and she won 2nd place. My 2 nephews and my son, they all entered some pictures and crafts and things like that. My little nephew won 2nd with his origami, which was really lovely. It was such a nice community feel. I highly recommend entering into the show, whether it's your jam, your knitting, your anything. I'm sure you have the equivalent all over the world, where the town comes together and shows off what they can do. So that's my Golden Fern. It was not an mindless knit to do all of these increases and decreases. Once I got to this section, I could obviously see what I was doing. So I knew if I'd gone too far, I could backtrack and do my increase or my decrease. But at the beginning, which is you start at the tip here, the setup was really interesting because it's really a great feature of this one, I think, is that it has a really nice edge to the whole shawl. So you can see the pink runs along the edge. So the setup was different to what I've done before. So funnily enough, this section, and until I sort of got to here, was definitely, I had to concentrate for every row. But as it grew, and this whole section here was a lot easier to memorize. And then sort of had to focus again here. I'll take it off. I jumped the gun putting it back on, didn't I? So this end piece, see how it's shaped. It's a beautiful shape. Wool and Pine did a beautiful job on this shawl. It drapes on so nicely, and I think that was the intention of it. And at the end here, it's more, you know, the pattern disappears at different rates. So that was more of a focus. So I had to really focus on the end piece. The only modification I did was I did a bit of a different cast off, because the way it was cast off didn't leave it with a solid edge around it. See, the rest of the shawl has this nice solid edge, whereas this didn't. It just sort of petered off, and this ran into the end. And so I just thought, I just altered it. I can't remember what I did. It looks like just a stretchy bind off. I don't know. Can you tell what I did? But either way, it gave it a nice border to it that was sort of lacking on the rest of it. So I keep forgetting lots of things. It was a 3.5 millimeter needle. This was before the MCal, so my brain was taken up with MCal very fast. So I'm trying to play catch up on this project. 3.5 millimeter needles. Didn't matter what size cable, because it's obviously just back and forth. I would say intermediate brioche. It wasn't beginner brioche, but it wasn't also really difficult decreases and increases. It was more just keeping track of where you were. I did put a lot of lifelines in. I'm not confident enough with brioche lace yet to not put lifelines in. So I just use floss, dental floss, and I just pull it through with my needle. I've got Chiaogus. Where's a pair that I can get? You may already do this, but if you don't, there's a little hole. Really hard to see on these ones in my shorties, but there's a hole there. I thread the floss through it, and then I pull the needle through the project so that the floss goes through the whole row that I want to keep. So I'd get like 4 inches of brioche lace done, and then I'd put a lifeline in, because I don't want to pick all the way back. And I find I'm not confident enough yet in my picking back that I'll definitely know that I've picked back to a clean row, because it's quite messy when you undo brioche. So having that lifeline there just gives me the confidence to go, yep, this is a full row, just pick it up and then just keep going. So the more complicated brioche it is, I put every like 10 centimeters. But then if I'm really not confident at all, I'll put it in every couple of centimeters. But this was pretty good. I could sort of go 10 centimeters or so before I put a lifeline in. I think that's all for that one. I absolutely love it. You can wear it in quite a few different ways. If you have a look at it on Ravelry, you can see in the pattern, and even I think in their photos, they show you how many different ways to wear it because of the way it's shaped. Really clever. Anyway, which is the next one? I will take this off. After this, I did my MCal, which I won't show. It's been out for a couple of weeks now, and pretty much everybody stopped doing spoilers, but I'll show it in the next episode just in case. So after that, I don't know if you didn't see my videos. At the end of my MCal video, I said, oh my gosh, I'm going to need what's the word for it? A rebound knit. It was such an intense, fast knit that I was like, right, I need a quick rebound knit just to calm my nerves. So I looked at my knitting cupboard. I don't know what you have at home. I'm such a nosy knitter. Tell me below where you keep all of your yarn, because it fascinates me. But I only have one cupboard. My beautiful husband made it for me, and my son signed the back of it. It was the sweetest thing. I might have a photo of my son signing the back of it. I'll try and post a photo here. Look at me going like this, expecting that future me is going to be able to put a photo here. If there's a photo there, I'll be amazed. But if there isn't, it is just one single cupboard with one big hole and a couple of spots for my needle binder and project bags, etc. And I don't buy more than what can fit in that space. I'm somebody who 3 whips is my absolute maximum. And I'm usually a monogamous knitter. So I would usually have something really complicated that I can do in my recliner at night, watching telly with nobody interrupting me. I can count without getting distracted. I usually have something that I can bring along to swimming, sports, if I'm waiting for my son to finish something. And then sometimes another one sneaks in. So that's why my three whips is what I'm comfortable with. I'd love to know below how many whips are you comfortable with? Are you a 30 whip person, or are you a monogamous, only one project? I'm a little bit too into knitting to only have one whip, because if I'm doing a really complicated shawl at night, I don't have anything to do during the day if I'm having a cuppa with a girlfriend and I want to just stockinette in the round. So anywho, that led me to Creya Bayer's Cargill Cowl. Cargill Cowl? Do you know, the way Rebecca says cowl is just so beautiful, and I just sound ridiculous saying cowl, but she released a beautiful pattern. She has a Cargill jumper, but I wasn't too confident, and I'll get into that later, wasn't too confident with casting on for the jumper. However, she brought out a cowl, and the proceeds of the pattern are going to the Fistula Foundation, supporting women who have had trauma after birth and haven't healed after birth, which is such an incredible foundation. So I bought the pattern and I decided to get straight into my scraps, which is where I was leading to before I may have gotten distracted. My knitting cupboard has plenty of yarn in it, and so I've decided two things. One, I'm going to knit through all of my scraps as sort of a running whip that I'll have going, just getting through as many scraps as possible. And two, I'd really like to start making myself some jumpers, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. So I got into my scraps and I actually don't even know what this is. I suspect by the feel of it that it is Dreamtime Baby, which is a wool here that we have in Australia. That's what it feels like to me. If you're in Australia, you know what Dreamtime Baby feels like, and I would say that that's what this is, which means that this was from the first little baby cardigan I made 17 or 18 years ago. I'm yet to figure that out. First garment I ever made, and it was almost the first knitting I'd ever done. I knitted a few squares and then I went into making a cardigan for a baby born in the family. And I have some leftover of Diablo. This is peach. Yeah, it comes out okay. Looked really dark for a second there, but it's actually quite a light peach. Cameras are tricky, aren't they? I bought a few balls of Diablo because everybody was getting into mohair, and I just wasn't sure if it was for me, if I would enjoy it or not. So instead of spending a lot of money on some good quality mohair, I got some Diablo, which has a little bit of acrylic in it, which I usually don't lean towards because it irritates me. But it was just a good way of experimenting, but I've never done it. So this was the moment. I got this out and this out. So these guys together, and I made the Cargill Cowl. I made this in Queensland on holidays. Just after the MCAL finished, we went away on holidays. Let's see how ridiculous I can look putting it on. Oh, there we go. I cast it on just after the MCAL. This was my quick, I need to cast something on because I'm going crazy without something in my hands. And it's a beautiful pattern. I thought that this dip stitch would be, I was like, oh, if I bitten too much off after finishing the MCAL, maybe I just need a stockinette in the round. But after I'd done the 4 rows of dip stitch, I was sold. It was so easy to memorize. I'm not entirely sure how to wear it. I should just put a bunch of clips together of me saying, I don't know how to wear this. But I thought it'd be lovely under a coat for walks on the beach. We love walking on the beach in wintertime. And it is so warm. It's too warm for here today, so I definitely won't leave it on. but it's a lovely pattern to knit up. If you're intimidated by the dip stitch, don't be. The only thing I will say is, I'll try and show you up close. Yeah, so you dip on one side and then you dip into the same spot on the other side. So for the right hand dip, I just used my right needle to dip in. There was no problems with that. But for the left dip, I couldn't for the life of me get my needle around, and it was really stretching my stitches out. So all I did is I used a cable needle. I don't think I've got it here. Good on you, Mel. I used a cable needle in my right hand to loop it up. So if you're going to try the dip stitch, play around with how to make that left side easier for you, because once I did that, it went as fast as stockinette. It really did. So the only other modification I made is that when you cast on, you do 5 centimeters. I won't say all of it just because, but I did it a little bit shorter. So you did 5 centimeters and then you knit to a certain point. I did a little bit shorter, a couple of centimeters shorter, only because our holiday was almost finished and we were on the plane, and I was like, right, I can do this and I can get the ribbing done at the bottom by the time we get home to cast on something else. So that's the Cargill Cowl. I did make a mistake. I don't know if you can tell. This end, yeah, this is in the 4mm needle, and I'm supposed to go down to the smaller needle like I did at the beginning. But honestly, once it's on, I didn't think it was really worth doing. But that's a beautiful knit. Highly recommend it. The proceeds of the pattern are still going to the Fistula Foundation all of November. So if you're going to buy it, I highly recommend buying it soon, because what an awesome cause, a very important cause. So good on Rebecca for doing that. And maybe that'll make me confident to do a Cargill jumper. I don't know. Be nice in a whole jumper. Not sure. I'm not sure about the paler colours on me, because I do get really pale myself, and sometimes I feel like I'm a little bit washed out. But we'll see. I have plenty of this left. So I tried to use up scraps and I still have scraps left. There was like this plus a little ball, and I only used the little ball on this. So it was actually quite what am I trying to say? Not as many meters as I thought it was going to be, or these were just wound really tight and I had a lot more meters than I thought. So I might make something else with this. We'll see. Okay. The next thing I finished, I actually, between the Golden Fern and the MCal starting, I had like 3 days. So I got together 3 more of my scraps. This is Bendigo wool. It's not quite as bright as that, but it's pretty close. It's pretty close. This is Bendigo Wooler Mills Luxury 8-ply in Junior Navy. I had some Bendigo 8-ply in the Mosaic. Mosaic was a limited edition. They're not selling it anymore. And I can't remember this color. I think it might have been steel. And they also do a bloom. And I made my sister a beanie and mitts out of this. If I can find a photo, I'll pop it here. But I had quite a bit of this left over. So I decided to make the shift. I think it's called the shift, isn't it? There's a few shifts. Shifty, I think it is the shift for the cowl. But anyway, I made the cowl version of the shift with this combination, and it came out beautiful. What a great way to use up scraps. Let me see. Ta-da, another Knitty Mel tries something on and doesn't wear it very well, but oh, here we go. And I can't believe I still have so many scraps left over. This really was only a partial skein. This was almost a full ball though. It was for a friend's baby knits. If I have a photo of that, I'll pop them up too. I'm asking a lot of future Mel, aren't I? I think I'm asking a bit too much of future Mel, but if I do have it, I'll pop it up. So I have a good bit of this left over and only this left over of these two colors. So what I'll do with these is I'll pop these in my sock bag. I love to make DK weight whatever socks. So they don't have nylon in them, or they do, whatever, just DK, small balls of DK. I put in a little bag and I just knit up bed socks for my family and I. So they will go into there because they're small enough scraps now. However, and I know this is technically a whip, but it goes with my shift. And I'm going to knit up. It does look a little bit different, doesn't it? I have some blue Diablo and I had plenty of this left over, and I thought I'd have a go at knitting a beanie to go with this. It's not much to write home about yet, but you can you see it doesn't have as much, the blue, this is called denim, dark denim, and it doesn't seem to have the same amount of halo. Can you see that halo on this? Maybe it's my color blindness, but I really don't see as much halo on the dark denim. So that was interesting to learn. So I'm not sure if I cast on too many stitches. I'm just making a folded brim beanie, and I've just cast it on 110 stitches, and I will, knit to a certain point and then fold it under and knit it together as a folded brim. So I'll show that when I get further. It's nothing to write home about now, but it's begun. I might not wear it directly with this. It might be too matchy, but it might go with something else. Another way to use up my scraps. You can see I'm on a mission to use up some scraps. So I think that that's all my finished items. I loved knitting the shift. I think it's the shift. I loved knitting this. It was really fun to see the colours all come out. Oh, it's a bit too warm on here for that. It's still been really chilly here in Victoria, but as soon as you put your wools on, you realise it is slowly warming up. So I really enjoyed this. As I was knitting it, I was wondering how it was all going to work out, but gee, it looks like I did all this on purpose. I really didn't. You start in one of these corners. This is the corner that I started with, I think. Nope, I tell a lie. That is the corner I started with. So I started with this steel and the blue, and then I only had 3 colors, so I didn't have exactly what the pattern suggests, but really you can play jazz with this pattern, I would say. It was really fun to just mix up the colors the way I wanted to. Like when I saw that the green was coming out, I actually played with the royal blue and the steel blue within the green. But the rest of the time, it was only 2 colors. This is the only section where I did 3 colors. She actually suggests that in the pattern, so I had a go at it. However, the rest of the time, it was just 2 colors at a time with that color changing bloom yarn. So that is a lot warmer than my golden fern. My golden fern's in 4-ply or fingering weight, whereas that is DK weight, 8-ply, Bendigo, 100% wool. So it is warm. Right, what is next? Those are all of my finished objects. Haven't been able to finish a lot since the Cowl because we went on a little holiday, which was really lovely. Our first plane trip since COVID. So that was really fun to take my little boy up to Queensland. But since getting home, I have turned my attention, yes, to scraps, but also to my desire to learn how to knit myself a jumper. I've knit so many jumpers for kids. I've knit my husband a jumper and my son a jumper. Hopefully I'll put up a couple of pictures of some of the jumpers that I've made. However, I've always been intimidated about making myself a jumper because there's just so many more measurements going on. I need to take account for my bust size, which kids and men just don't have that change from their front to their back. And I find that a lot of jumpers that I go to buy aren't very flattering. So my next mission, one, to get rid of all my scraps, but two, I would really like to explore different constructions. So my plan is, and I don't always stick to my plans, but my plan is to knit a few different jumpers in different constructions. So the first one I've cast on is the Scrappy Triangles by, oh, I've forgotten her name now. I'm going to pop her name here. I watch her all the time. 50 Fabulous Knits. It's a 4-ply or fingering weight top that I'm going to knit long sleeve, because I do wear long sleeves a lot here in Victoria. And I'm using up all my scraps. So I've separated them into fingering weight scraps that I have a heavier amount of, a more meterage of, which is these four. Bear with me. These two are from my M-Cowl. These two are from my Dotty Jane shawl that I've shown in an M-Cowl video before. So they're all sort of in the same family, but the Dotty Jane was lighter and the M-Cowl was a bit darker, which I feel like they're all going to mix really well together. Famous last words. I might get halfway through the yoke and go, it doesn't work. And these I have a bit less of, but altogether, no, there's no way I can pick them all up. I'll put a photo of them all together. I've just recently put it on my Instagram, so I'll put a photo up of them all together. I found it really hard getting the color exactly right, which is why it's kind of good to do these videos, because then I can show you what the real colors look like. However, done, tiny little cast on. I've not gotten very far. This is what I've got so far. That's the back of it. Done the short rows, and I've just done a couple of the stripes. I don't even think I can, I've got it on such a small needle. Well, there you go. You can get an idea. So I'm a little bit unsure. It has a fairly high neck, and I usually wear sort of a scoop neck for myself. However, I'm going to trust the process because it looks beautiful on her. I'm going to make it how the pattern suggests. And if I feel as though it's a little bit too high, what I'll do is I'll unpick from the top and I'll go down to the second or third stripe, and knit my short rows and my neckband up from there. That is my plan if it doesn't quite work out. So my plan is to use the colors that I have more of. I'm going to use them in more succession. So I've gone this one first, and then I've done a color that I don't have as much of, and then I've gone the solstice next. So I'll try and balance it so that I have more stripes of the yarns that I have more of, if you will. Wow. Did I just waffle on and make no sense? Probably. The yarn is Louie and Lola, a beautiful designer in Tasmania, and Circus Tonic Yarns, which, I mean, they're my two favorite yarn dyers so far. There are so many, but they're the ones that I've bought from so far. And so I'm excited to have a whole jumper made out of their yarns. It will be beautiful. I'm excited to see this gingerbread house come in. How pretty is that? That'll be really pretty in the stripes. You can see it in my Dotty Jane shawl in my M-Cowl videos. So I might do another video with my Dotty Jane in it in case you don't want to watch the M-Cowls. So this is a top-down yoke construction. So my intentions are to tick through a list of different constructions to find the construction that I really like to wear. I feel like I've been hesitating making myself jumpers because I don't know what suits me and what I'm going to enjoy wearing. And I think the only way to find out is to give it a go. So I'm starting with this because I have all of the yarn. I weighed all of the yarn. In theory, I have about 2,000 meters, so I should be fine for this top. Probably with more scraps left over, which isn't really the plan, but that's okay. We just keep working through our scraps, don't we? So that's that one. I'm knitting that on. Oh, good. I'm just falling apart in front of you. Excellent. I'm knitting that on 3.25, which I think is the suggested. I've gone with her suggested. I'm not knitting a swatch in this because I'm pretty consistent with these two companies' fingering weight yarns. I'm used to knitting them, so I know what my gauge is. However, worst case scenario, the cast on for this is my gauge. I'll get down to the point and check my gauge then. Right, the next one is not a whip or a finished object. It's a plan. Is that what we call it? A plan? I have this beautiful, a whole jumper's quantity worth of tarned Warncourt or Tarndy wool. They have Polworth sheep only, I'm so lucky, they're only maybe 50 minutes from us where they have their sheep. I do believe that they spin in New Zealand for lack of spinning options here in Victoria. However, pretty local to me. And it is the most beautiful, squishy Polworth wool, and it's got really lovely structure and stitch definition. So my plan for this is I am doing a swatch because it's the first time I've knitted with their yarn before. So I'll continue this on. I just pulled look at that. Just going to leave some live stitches hanging around. But I have pulled the needles out for something else, and I'll keep on with this. I'll give it a wash, I'll block it, and I'll see what gauge I get, because I'm planning on making the smoke jumper by, I'm so sorry I'm going to butcher your name, but Anka Streik, a German designer. You probably all know her, and I'm completely ruining her name, but the smoke is beautiful. I'll put a photo up here if I can. I'm just going to laugh at myself for this whole episode. It is a saddle shoulder construction. And I really like the idea of a saddle shoulder construction because it gives the effect of a set-in sleeve, which I've had the most success wearing from shops. Because it doesn't add that extra fabric in here. So I'm going to give that a go. So I'll have the round yoke and a saddle shoulder construction on the go. If you can think of any construction I haven't thought of, obviously I'll try raglan. Sorry, I've just knocked my camera. Obviously I'll try a raglan, a saddle shoulder. I'll do a fully seamed jumper next. Sorry about that. I'm not sure when I cut off then. I think I had finished talking about my smoke jumper that I'd like to make. It has texture all over the front and back, which I think will be lovely in this Tarndy wool. It has beautiful stretch, but it's also got beautiful stitch definition and super warm. So I'm excited for that. But yes, if you have any construction suggestions that I should put on my list, I think next year will definitely be the year of the jumper for me, as I try and figure out what I like, what I don't like. To find something that I'm really comfortable wearing. And then I can play around with warmer jumpers, cooler jumpers, all that sort of thing. Anywho, my last bit of knitting that's in my world at the moment is this weekend. In fact, tomorrow, I think, I'm going to be starting a test knit for, now, I don't want to get her name wrong. It's the Grove Shawl. Hold the phone. Okay, Cassie La Follette. I'm so sorry, Cassie, if I've just ruined how your name is said. Us Aussies aren't excellent at pronunciation. So I will be doing her beautiful Grove shawl. I'll put it up here if I can so that you can see what I'm doing. It's not a secret knit. She's already put photos up on Instagram, so I'm sure I can pop that up there. I'm just going to do a really neutral one. I think it's a really classic pattern, and I feel like a lot of my knits are either loud or very graphic like the MCal. So I think a nice neutral shawl would be a good addition to the wardrobe. So I'm going to use Bendigo Luxury in Stone as the lattice. Lattice isn't the right word. The beautiful detail, the crochet detail all over the shawl, and Luxury Truffle is going to be the majority of the shawl, which I think will look nice, and that'll be just the feature. So I'll have a lot of this left. I'm really excited to do that. It'll be really fun. It's my first test knit, so it will be a lot of fun seeing how all the other test knitters are going. I will be posting my progress on Instagram, and obviously I'll let you know in here too how I'm going with it. So I'm looking forward to that. But I think that's all of my FOs and whips and plans. For my jumpers, I will mention I'm going to try and stick to a bit of a colour palette. I've found that if I knit something in colours that I don't enjoy, I just don't wear it. So I'm going to try and stick to a colour palette. I have found a few colours that I've put together that I think I would like. I feel like that's going to stop me from purchasing yarn just because I love the look of it, but I wouldn't actually wear it. So I'll pop the palette up here that I'm sort of going to aim for as my winter palette. I have a really small wardrobe at home, and I really enjoy that. I enjoy that I can just pick a few things out and they can go together. So I am going to try, and it's not exactly a capsule wardrobe, but it's something close enough to that. I don't like to have a lot of clothes. I usually buy good quality that's going to last a long time, and I would like to be a little bit more intentional with my jumpers that I'm going to knit next year and hope that they will last for years and years in my wardrobe. So I think that that is all of my knitting to date. I'll be back in a couple of weeks to show you where I'm up to with all of those projects that I've got either on the needles or planned. And I have one thing left to do, which is say an enormous thank you to all of you. While we were away on our holidays, I checked in to reply to a few comments on my MCal videos, and we hit 1,000 subscribers. I couldn't believe it. Thank you so much to everybody who subscribed. If you haven't subscribed yet, I would love it if you would subscribe below, because I'm doing a little thank you to everybody. I would like to do a giveaway. As soon as I saw that we would hit 1,000 subscribers, I jumped onto the Louie and Lola website. Her yarns featured all through my MCal videos, because that is what my MCal shawl is made of. And so I jumped on her website, and I found a kit that actually has the goldfinch colour in it. So here is her yarn. How beautiful is that combination? So this colour is Guava. I think that's a good representation of the colour actually. The two smaller ones, this is Goldfinch and this is Champagne, and they are absolutely beautiful together. What an incredible dyer Karina is. The kit is for the Autumn Stripes cowl by Tracy from Grocery Girls Knits. So I'm going to put a picture of her wearing the cowl up here. If you win, I will ask if you'd like to make the cowl, and I will gift you through Ravelry this pattern so that you can knit it up. If you don't want to knit it up, I completely understand. You just enjoy the beautiful yarns. Karina was so kind. She actually messaged me to say congratulations on 1,000 subscribers. And I let her know that I'd gone on to her website and bought a kit for to say thank you for a giveaway. And she added some extras in. They are the cutest enamel pins. These are her dogs, Louie and Lola. And they are such good quality, beautiful enamel pins and some beautiful stitch markers. So thank you so much, Karina, for putting these in. That's so lovely. So whoever wins the giveaway will win this gorgeous little, oh yeah, I'm great at this. Gorgeous little kit of yarn, stitch markers and enamel pins. So thank you to Karina for adding these beautiful extras in, and thank you to all of you who have subscribed. To win this, please just comment anything below. I would love to know any constructions of jumpers or any other really clever ways to use up your scraps, because clearly that is the path I'm on at the moment, scraps and jumpers. And I will get an auto generator to pick randomly from the comments below this video. And in the next video, I will announce the winners of the giveaway. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for subscribing and commenting. It really boosts me. It convinces me to sit down and awkwardly talk to a video camera. And it has been so lovely connecting with you all in the comments. So I usually reply to everybody's comments. If I miss anyone, I apologize. I'm learning that between my iPad and my phone, sometimes it doesn't update who I have replied to. So I'm learning. I'm learning all of the technical things that I need to learn to make this work. Anyway, thank you so much for watching and have a lovely knitty week. Bye. That's a beautiful song, isn't it?